Okay, Brookridge residents, before we get started, can everybody see the screen okay, or do we need to turn down the front lights?
Welcome. I'm so glad to see all of you here to get the information for Gate Sentry. I think you're going to be very interested, and it's going to be a plus for our security system that I know many of you want. Watch closely. At the end of the video, we will have a representative there, and he will take some of your questions. We'll have someone going around with the mic, so when you do, everybody can hear what your questions are. Okay, Mike.
Welcome to the Gate Sentry Resident Orientation Session. We appreciate the opportunity to serve your community. We're excited about this. We would love to share a little bit of detail about Gate Sentry and how to use the system from a resident perspective. But first, let me give you a brief overview of what Gate Sentry is and how it works. Here on the screen, you'll see a picture of a tablet as well as a mobile application or mobile device. As a resident of the community, you will have the opportunity to log into your account using either a web portal or your smartphone. By logging into your account, you'll be able to update your guest list at any time. When you submit a guest update to the system, it will automatically feed to the tablet at the security gate. The security staff will be able to see your visitors, admit them using the Gate Sentry tablet, and then when they do admit them through the gate, you will automatically receive a notification that the visitor came through. Those notifications can come either on your smartphone or via email. That's a big picture of what Gate Sentry is. But who are we? Gate Sentry, essentially, we are specialists in community security. We provide security and software to some of the top communities across the United States. And we have hundreds of clients, guards, and gates that we serve, not only domestically, but internationally as well. So how does Gate Sentry work? We've already described. Linking you as a homeowner directly to the security staff so that you have two-way communication. By updating your guest list in real time, the process at the gate will become streamlined, and the gate staff will then be able to log in visitors very easily, efficiently, and quickly. Finally, the most important part for you is receiving visitor arrival notifications when that visitor comes through the gate. That will keep you informed of all of the visitors that come through, including vendors and guests. So we've talked about Gate Sentry from the perspective of the security team using tablets at the gate to manage that access. But for you as homeowners, access to update your guest list both on your computer, either at home, the office, abroad, even anywhere you are. As long as you can log into the internet, you can get onto Gate Sentry. Or you can do that through your mobile device. And that includes both phones and tablets. So we'll cover in this brief session how to access your account, how to use the web portal, how to download and use the mobile app, and then how to get notifications both via email and through your mobile device. And then finally, how to get technical support should you need it. The first thing you'll need is your Gate Sentry welcome letter. The welcome letter comes typically via email directly from Gate Sentry. If you did not receive this, please check your spam folder. You may not have received it if your email address is not on file with the management office. If so, please contact the office, the management office, and they will get you your welcome letter, or you can contact our support team and they will send you the welcome letter. I'll show you the support email and contact information later. Once you get your welcome letter, they'll give you information about how to get on the apps or the website, But the most important part is your access code. The access code is what's needed to register your username and password and log into your account. Of course, you can use the web portal or the mobile app to create your account and log in. So once you have your access code, you can log into the web portal. The website address is listed on the welcome letter as well, but here we can see that the website is portal.gatesentry.com. When you go to that website, you click on Create New Account, enter your email address and password and the access code, and then it will log you into your account. The same is true for the mobile app, but first you'll have to download the mobile app. For Apple users, you go to the App Store, and for Android users, go to the Google Play Store. And when you search for Gate Sentry, you'll see the Gate Sentry icon listed here. Download the app, and again, on the login screen, click Create New Account, and enter your email, preferred password, and the access code from your welcome letter. So let's go through a couple live examples, and we'll see how to use the system, both from the web portal as well as the mobile app. Here we see a picture of the web portal, fictional resident in the neighborhood, George Clooney, and as he logs into his account, he sees his name and address at the top of the screen. To the right of his name, you'll see also the logout button and a help guide. When you click on the help guide, there's several different frequently asked questions in here, as well as a quick start guide. When you click on the quick start guide, you'll see a full page on how to use the Gate Sentry mobile app and a full page on how to use the web portal. That's available right there at the top of the help guide. Going across the screen from left to right, we see a list of hosts. What we call hosts is essentially their homeowners or residents in the home. You'll want to add anyone who lives in the home that can receive visitors so that the gate staff can find their name when a visitor asks. Here we see that Amal Al-Moody has a different last name, so when the gate staff has a visitor asking for her, they will be able to find that person. Here you can click on the account and enter an email address, and then select whether or not you want email notifications when a visitor comes through. As you can see, we don't have an email address here, which means that you don't have to have your email address there, and you don't have to have notifications via email. You can choose whether to receive them by email or through your mobile phone. Here at the top, you see a link that says Get Mobile Notifications. When you click there, a video will open up, and you can watch the video, and it'll tell you how to get mobile notifications. Essentially, the way to get notifications on your smartphone is to download the Gate Sentry mobile app to your device. The video continues with additional information about the different application stores, whether you have an Apple or an Android, and it provides information about the Gate Sentry icon if you forget which icon you're looking for. But when you download it, be sure to allow notifications. This is the essential part of the Gate Sentry mobile app is notifications. So if you don't allow notifications, you will not get those. If you already downloaded the Gate Sentry app and did not allow the notifications, just go to your device settings and change those settings based on what you see in the video. Notice the video is the second item in the help guide. So you can either find that here or by clicking at the top of the host section. Continuing across the screen, we see the contact numbers listed here. And this is where the gate staff will use these numbers to contact you if a visitor arrives that's not on your guest list. You'll want to put these in priority order since the gate staff will start at the top and work their way down. In the center section, we have the guests and vendors. This is really the most important part. Adding a guest is simple. Just click on the new button, add the first and last name of the guest, and then select the status, whether that visitor is permanent, which means someone who lives in the area and comes over quite often, or temporary, someone who's in town for a temporary period, or banned, restricted from the community. For temporary visitors, you can select a single date, or you can select a date range. And that date range will be available for that visitor to visit, and at midnight of that day, here in this example, September 2nd, the visitor will drop from the list automatically. You can also set these dates in the future. So if a visitor is coming over on September 1st and will be here for 2 days, you can set that up ahead of time. Vendors are treated the same way. Adding a vendor, just click New, put the vendor name in, and select the status of permanent or temporary. When you add a vendor, please do not add the employee name. If you know the driver that's coming over, it's okay, just add the company name. The gate staff will take the rest of the information when that visitor arrives. So for Uber, when you get an Uber or Lyft or something like that, you typically know the driver's name. Just put Uber. You don't need to add the additional information of the driver. Here in the upper right corner, you'll see the history of all the visitors that have visited that property. This will be your account and your login, so these entries will be the visitors that actually were logged into your home. So over time, you'll be able to see the entries of who visited and what date and time. And finally, in the lower section is just your user account information. The web portal is laid out very simply with one-page view, and everything you need is right here on this page. On the mobile app, very similar to the web portal in its layout, the first section you'll see is the homeowner name and address. So when you log in, you'll see your name and address. And then your contact numbers will be here. If you click there, you can update and edit your contact information. This is often the case when you're going out of town and have a house sitter. You want to add that house sitter's name and phone number there as the primary contact. Below the host section, again, these are the list of residents that live in the home. And if you click on one of the residents, you can actually change or edit or add the email address, and then select whether or not you want to receive email notifications. By doing that, you will now receive notifications via email as well as your mobile device. Adding a new resident is simple. Click New, put in the resident first and last name, and then if you want to add their email address and receive notifications, those two fields are optional. At the bottom of the screen, we'll see 4 tabs. The profile is where we are, the guest tab, vendors, and history. So guests, of course, self-explanatory, is where we have our guests, friends and family who can come over at any time. And adding a guest is simple. Click on the add button and put in the first and last name, as well as the status. Again, permanent, temporary, or banned. And when you select temporary, again, you can select a date or a date range, beginning with the day or any date in the future. Vendors are treated the same way. If you go to the vendor section, you can add a vendor, putting in the company name only. Remember not to add any employee names, and then select permanent or temporary. And you can, of course, select one of the companies that's on your list and change their status if you needed to. If a vendor's on your list and you wanted them to be temporary, you can change that status as well. Or you can delete the vendor altogether. If by chance you have a vendor on your list that no longer services your home, maybe you get a new landscaping company, you can click on the old company and delete them from your list. And finally, the history is listed. This is where all of the visitors that have been admitted to your home and logged in by the guards will be listed. And you'll be able to scroll through that information and see that history based on the date and time that the visitor came in. That's it in terms of the Gate Sentry mobile app. There is one trick that I'd like to discuss, and that is logging out. If you do not log out of the mobile app and just shut down the app by clicking on your screen and swiping that from your screen, the next time you open the mobile app, it will remember your username and password. Here is the mobile app. We click, and it will log me into the account. So the beauty of it is you won't need to remember your username or password if you just swipe it from your screen and close the app. But of course, if you log out, you will need to remember your username or password. As we log out, we will see the login screen, and this is where I wanted to point out that when you receive your access code, it is not a temporary password. Please don't enter your email address and the access code here, as it will not work. The first time you log in with your access code, click on Create New Account, and this applies to both the web portal as well as the mobile app. Click Create New Account, enter your email address, your preferred password, and then finally the access code. That will register your user information and log you into your account. If by chance you ever forget your password, you can click on the Forget Password link. There is one here as well as on the web portal, and you can click here and enter your email address to receive a password reset. Well, that's it in terms of how the system works. Let me cover a couple of key questions, frequently asked questions. First, where do I get my access code? If you did not receive that via email or regular mail from the management office, please email support@gatesentry.com. If you'll send us your name and address, we will send you your access code. You can also, of course, contact the management office, and they should be able to give it to you as well. Second question, how do I get visitor notifications on my cell phone or tablet? Well, of course, the important part is to download the Gate Sentry mobile app and log into your account. You will not get notifications from just putting in your cell phone number into your profile. You need to actually download the app and log into the account. And note that you can do this on tablets as well, and you will get notifications on your tablet as long as your tablet is on a Wi-Fi signal. So you can have multiple devices throughout the home, his home phone, her phone, his tablet, her tablet, whatever number of devices will all receive notifications when a visitor comes through the gate. What if I forget my password or user ID? On the login screen, which is where you will be when you realize that you forgot your username or password, just click on the forgotten password link, and the screen will give you the opportunity to enter your email address, and you'll receive an email that will allow you to reset your password. Please remember that that email address should be entered in all lowercase letters, and you'll want to use the email that you use to create your account. Sometimes people have work emails, personal emails, and if one of those emails doesn't work, doesn't send you the login code, please use the other email. And the system will tell you immediately if it does not recognize your email address. But that is right on the login screen, so it should be right at the point that you realized you've forgotten your password. And the last question is, how do I get technical support? Email our staff at support@gatesentry.com, and they'll be happy to help you with your account, with any other question you might have, or help with your Gate Sentry application. The support staff is available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 Eastern Time, and we try to respond to your emails within the same business day. Depending on the time of day, sometimes that may be the next morning, but certainly within a business day, you'll get a response from the support team. We'd like to thank you for joining us today. We appreciate the opportunity to serve your community. I'm very excited about that. Please contact us if we can help you, And thanks again for joining. Okay, this is Mike Brendan in live now. I am going to open it up for questions to the group, and I'll let Mike and Captain Schubert and whoever else is in the room managing the microphones and the questions. I'll let you guys take over, and I'll answer the questions as they come in.
If you can.
Why do you don't want to use the system?
Give it a second.
Yes, it is.
That's-
Yes, it is. What if you don't want to use the system?
I think that's a question for the management staff. It's just a question of their policy on how to manage that process.
Okay, my question is for when my guests come in, are they going to have to give their driver's license and is the information being stored in a cloud?
Yeah.
And what if,
Go ahead.
and what if they refuse to give their driver's license?
As I understand it, there is not an ID policy. There's not a requirement to show ID. It's only based on certain policies that the management staff and Captain Schubert are managing. So the question of driver's licenses is really best for them as to when and if ever they will require ID. Any information you put into the system, like the visitor's name, is stored in the cloud, and you will not lose it. So even if you get a new phone or maybe delete the app from your phone by mistake, the data won't be lost. You'll find your same list of visitors when you log back in, either through the website or the mobile app. So no concern about losing data.
What is this system costing us? What is the maintenance fee to the community? And why weren't we allowed to vote on it?
I think I have to let the management staff answer those questions again, since I'm really just training you on how to use the system.
Good morning. We have vendors,
Yeah, when do we get an answer?
we have vendors that come in to multiple households. How will the vendors sign in that are coming to multiple households?
There is a wonderful function on the Gate Sentry tablets that the staff will use. It will list all of the residents who have that same vendor on their account. And so when the vendor comes in, the gate staff can ask the vendor which homes that person is going to that day, select them from the list, and it will log that that vendor was going to each of those homes, and it will send a notification to each of the residents in those homes.
How are you going to control all the people coming in for the dances and for bingo?
I will kind of assume for Captain Schubert and his team that we will be creating accounts for those events. There is a way to manage events separately, and that list of bingo participants or tennis or whatever else the events are, there will be a specific list of those visitors, and they will log in just like any other visitor, but to that specific event.
If I have a group come in, do I need to put every single person's name in it?
It depends on the size of the group. If it's a smaller group, yes, we'd prefer to you just put the names of the visitors in. If it's a large party, we have an event function that we're testing. We'll be testing with the gate staff, but there's also probably a current process that we can continue to use until we have that event function in place.
Okay, then ambulance and fire?
Nothing changes. All of that continues as they were before.
Hello? Oh,
Hello.
they get through the gate with our barcode? Yes.
Yes, nothing changes with your access and the barcode.
this whole system is based on a computer, tablet, or a telephone?
All of the above, yes, depending on your preference.
You don't have one. You know, this, I can see about 25% of the homes going up for sale here.
Yeah, no, it's understandable. The system allows for you to use a smartphone if you have it. If you have a home computer, you can use that. The gate staff will be managing visitors through the tablets. They will be trying to minimize the number of calls to you, so that's kind of the purpose, to try to improve the speed of the process at the gate.
Mike, it's Mike Green.
Yes, sir.
Got a YouTube question. Will we be able to use this system with our mobile data on our cell phone while we're out and about and without Wi-Fi?
Yes, as long as you have cell service, mobile data, whether you're in Florida or Europe, you will be able to keep your list up to date.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a quick question. Can you just get notifications through email, or can you get text messages?
Yeah, but we did cover that. It's in the video if you want to go back and look at it again on how to get those. But to get notifications on your smartphone or tablet, download the Gate Sentry mobile app and log into your account, and that will automatically register your phone to receive those visitor notifications.
What happens if you don't add a vendor or a guest and they show up at the guard shack and they can't get hold of you? Are you gonna hold those vendors and guests at the guard shack, or are you gonna let them through?
It's probably a good question for Captain Schubert's team, but typically in any community across the country, what the gate staff does is leave voicemails with you. They'll ask the vendor to wait by the gate for a few minutes until they hear back from you. And then if they do within a reasonable amount of time, they can let that visitor through the gate. That's a standard security process. It's probably what they're already using. So the key is you won't, even if you miss the call and you get it 5 minutes later, you won't miss that vendor. But yes, that's the purpose of the system, is to try to avoid missing those vendors and to try to minimize those calls of the wait at the gate. So yeah, it does happen. Sometimes you forget to put a visitor or vendor on your list, and they'll do their best to accommodate that. But the more we can have visitors pre-registered in the system, the easier the process for the staff at the gate.
That's simple, but what about the residents that don't have email? Or a smartphone?
Yeah, no, and I understand that process. I'm not sure if this is correct. We might have to check with Carol and the management staff as to whether or not you can call into the office. They'll have access to the accounts, or if you can call into the gate. That's a local community policy. So I would suggest we check with the management staff on how to manage that going forward. Yes, sir. I'm not sure that I can quantify the level, but I can tell you that all of the data is encrypted in transit and storage. And in terms of the quality of the security, we use Amazon Web Services for all of the storage. They are the #1 storage company in the world, and they provide the #1 security for that. So by proxy, you're actually getting the best storage of the data. Keep in mind, the only data that we're keeping is your name and address and your visitor names. So there's no sensitive information in Gate Sentry.
You say you're only keeping the name and address, but management says that they're going to scan driver's licenses, so that is going to be accessed by if there's a break into the system. So are you using AES security on your web browsers?
AWS.
And you're using it with Amazon, right?
That's right. Now, the ID, again, the ID policy on whether or not they'll be doing anything with IDs is it's not decided at this point. There is no current requirement to show an ID, so I don't know that you have any concern with that at this point.
Well, showing ID is going to cause a lot of people a lot of aggravation. Nobody likes the information scanned into a database. So the second question I have is, if there's two of us in the household, do we use one smartphone or one tablet to access it, then can the two people access the same account?
Yes, both of you can log in from your own devices separately. You can log in from multiple devices, your phones, tablets, and phones.
That presupposes that we have like a master account. So let's assume I set up the access to the portal. I then pass on the password to my wife for her to download the app on her phone, or does she have to do that separately?
Actually, it's convenient that you can do it both ways. If one of you logs in using your email address as the login name and creating a password, then that same email and password can be used to log into all of the different devices within the home. Or if you want to use your own email address to log in and she wants to use her own email address to create her own login account, you can do it that way as well. It's just based on your own preference.
Getting back to, the driving licenses, you say that is not necessary, so that is a superfluous addition that the management or the security want to add, which just causes us more aggravation.
No, it's not necessarily superfluous. I don't necessarily think we can get caught up on the term, but I want to explain why it's not superfluous. The system has a number of different options that you can or cannot use. They're just optional features, and each of those features increases the level of security. What we find as experts in the community security field across the country and internationally, especially here in the U.S., there has been a significant increase in what we call gig drivers. Gig drivers means Ubers, Grubhubs, food deliveries, those types of vehicles, including the personal Amazon Flex vehicles of just individuals driving into the community to deliver Amazon packages. Over the last 5 years, this group of visitors has really skyrocketed. The average right now is about 25% of all vehicles driving through the neighborhoods, gated communities, are made up of these drivers. So communities across the country have seen an increase in security risk, crime, things like that. And so to respond to that, most of the police departments, sheriff's departments are just recommending that the communities check IDs. That's an increase in the security level for the residents. The residents don't need to show ID, only the visitors. So each community chooses whether or not they want to do that. Your community doesn't have that policy at this point, but it could be a consideration for those type of drivers. Maybe, sister-in-law, Aunt Sally, or, your grandson or somebody coming in isn't a security risk. We know who they are, we know that you're associated with them, but that unknown food delivery service and who's driving and what they're doing while they're in the community is a concern. So the system allows for this as an option that the gate staff can use when they feel it's necessary. So don't feel too concerned, because I already had a conversation with Captain Schubert, and they said that they are evaluating if it's necessary. It is not a current policy, but when they feel that there's a potential threat, the best solution is that they have the option, and that's what Gate Sentry provides, is an option to use that if necessary.
Well, I see
Yeah, go ahead.
I see a serious problem when it comes to a visitor that can't be contacted through the phone. And when you're online, front, the card, how are you gonna be able to turn around if you have to wait 2 or 3 minutes? That's gonna be a serious problem.
Next month.
A bottleneck situation. Everything is becomes a standstill.
It should be in there.
Yeah, and that's not any different than every other community in the country. The key is that the more you as residents can pre-register your visitors, if you know they're coming, if you call a service company to come and clean the home or fix the AC, you know it's happening, go ahead and put them on your list in Gate Sentry, and it resolves the bottleneck. Okay, we all know that sometimes it gets forgotten. You may have forgotten to put the person on the list, or you forgot to schedule that service. That's understandable. The key is the way that the gate staff manages that process by leaving a voicemail and queuing that visitor at a different point until they hear back from you. We want to minimize that for sure, because we don't want every visitor to be queued up in a waiting list. So the solution is you. You are the solution, and that is to register the visitor when you know they're coming. It really resolves the problem that you've identified.
This is really for the board. I understand that you're going to schedule workshops on this in the future. Was that what you said? And there'll be a chance for us to iron out all these issues on those further workshops, because I did have a question, the same thing about driver's licenses. And I am concerned about people's personal information being stored. And I think it's a question that we can all ask at a workshop. And my understanding from this gentleman is that that's going to be up to the board to decide. So that is what I think.
Mike, a quick question regarding the license. If I recall correctly, we're not scanning the licenses, we're just taking a picture of the front of the license.
That's correct. The Florida statute, the Florida law prohibits anyone from scanning the back of the ID, the barcode on the back of your driver's license. That is where the sensitive data is stored. There's actually social security numbers and stuff like that on that barcode in the back of your ID. The front of the ID really doesn't contain anything sensitive. Your driver's license number isn't really a secret number. It's very well accessible to any number of people. So the way Gate Sentry follows the state law within Florida and provides the most security for that information is that it's a flat file image, a picture, quote unquote, flat file, which means it can't be scanned for numbers. We're not doing character recognition and extracting driver's license numbers and storing those separately. The ID is actually just a flat file. So for anyone to try to get information from that is very, very difficult, and it is following the Florida statute. So the idea is that we've done all of this with the most concern for information safety.
I'm assuming that the gate will be hooked up on Spectrum Internet like the rest of us. Is that any better? Yeah. Right. I'm assuming the gate's going to be hooked up on Spectrum Internet like the rest of us. All right.
I think it already is.
Well,
Check.
Spectrum ain't the most reliable service in the world. I hope there is a process or procedure or backup for the gate to continue operation when the internet's down, because that happens quite a bit in here. Right?
Yes, and that is a good question. We did not cover today because it's really more of a security staff function. The Gate Sentry tablet actually will download continuously with new information. As you add visitors, it's continuously updating the tablet. So the tablet always has the latest snapshot of information. The good news is if the power goes out or the internet just by itself goes out, the tablet still has that very last snapshot of data. So it's as if you were printing the data every moment of the day, every second of the day, the tablet will have the last bit of information at that point, and the guards or the gate staff will not need to stop and use something else. The tablet continues to operate, and they're able to continue to manage visitors.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
In the event you had multiple email accounts in your household, can they be linked together so that no matter which person is using it, they can get the information?
Yes, definitely. And let me see if I can find that in the video here. In the access for your account, your names will be listed there on the screen. And I think the important part is to input, here's the view right here. On the web portal, you'll see each of the people within the home.
Yeah.
And you can add the email addresses there for each of the folks, and they will get notifications as long as you click yes on the notify.
I have a question. I've got a lot of stuff coming into Amazon, and I won't know who the drivers are, so if I just put Amazon on this list, then they can.
That's right.
No trouble?
That's right. As we mentioned in the video, when you add a vendor like Amazon, do not put the employee name. We don't need to know who the driver is. The gate staff will take care of all that. All we need to know is the vendor company name. That's very critical so that we have the right information.
This may not be an important question for many of you here, but I'm sitting here, I can't read a darn thing up on that screen.
Sorry about that.
That's true of many of us sitting in the audience, and of course you did a very good job in explaining what's up there. But that doesn't help me when I get home. So, can I get this when I log on to the computer? If I go
Yes.
to Google, I can pick this up and print it out and so forth. I'll be able to access it.
And I appreciate you bringing that up because you are correct. It's a big room. The screen may not be that well visible from the back, but let me point out one thing for you and everybody else in the room too. When you log into your account, you'll see your name and address at the top. Go to the right of your name and click on Help. And this video, this resident orientation session is there. And you'll be able to watch it on your own computer with the full screen. You'll be able to see it much better. And you can play and replay this video as much as you need to.
I have two questions. My first question, somebody had asked the question, what happens if you don't want to go on to Gate Sentry?
Yeah, I think the question is really going to be for the board. How are they going to manage that? Are you going to not receive visitors? It's really just a policy of the idea is the system is very user-friendly, very simple in terms of just adding visitors and putting them on the list. So the preference for the benefit of the majority of the community, for the reducing the lines and the wait at the gate, the preference is for as many of you as physically possible to use the system so that it reduces the workload on the gate staff. So if you just absolutely refuse to use the system, then that's completely different. If you don't have a computer, that's a different question. So all of these questions really just need to be addressed to the management and the board on how what the policy is for the community and how they can manage that.
Now, we're a senior citizen community. I'm probably looking, the people here are in their late 70s and their 80s, and they may have a little bit of trouble, a lot of trouble working their computers or smartphones, tablets, to get into this. So, I'm just saying, it seems like, I don't know.
Understandable. Yeah, definitely understandable. We deal with the same question at every single customer site, hundreds of communities all over the country. They all have, folks like you're suggesting that maybe not as tech savvy or don't use computers regularly. That does happen. It's completely understandable. What we've tried to do is make it so simple that it's really just a matter of what you see on the screen. Put a first name, a last name, and then choose if this person is permanent or temporary. And that's it. Once you save that, it's a done deal. So it may take watching the video once or twice, but once you get the idea that you can put, a visitor on the list very simply, and add that visitor, put their first and last name and save, then it realizes, oh, okay, that's not that difficult.
Just one, what if you have 4 visitors in a vehicle? You have to list each vehicle, each visitor in that vehicle?
Typically, it's just the driver. If you have, generally you know that Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so are coming to visit, you put Mr. So-and-so, even if he's in the passenger seat, they can tell the gate staff who he is and they'll see that person's name.
You know, I just want everyone to know, I'm sorry a lot of people left. Anna, our president, has been writing down all of your questions. And we will have another workshop, and all of those questions will be answered. So please keep going with your questions, because I know this is a new system. I know the board and Captain Schubert and the management has been looking into this. And the reason why we did it was because of the safety. So many people have talked about the safety. We have an aging population. So I don't want you to think of this as a negative, but please keep the questions coming, because Anna is writing them down. She will have them all resolved, and then we're going to have a workshop to help everybody.
Okay, you still haven't answered the question about bingo and the dances when people are coming in. You're not going to have the same people coming in every week. So how are you going to keep track of all these new people? And we have to keep track of everybody, and them people come in don't have to keep track of anybody. They can just come in, I'm going to the dance. How do we know they're going to the dance? I'm going to the bingo. How do we know they're going to the bingo?
May I answer that
So
question?
how are you going to control that?
May I answer that? The way it will be set up, and I'm sorry that Captain Schubert isn't here to help answer some of these questions. You will get a letter. He mentioned the letter at the beginning, and there'll be a letter addressed to you, or it'll be on your email, reiterating everything he said at the beginning of the video, how you can set it up, your password, et cetera, et cetera. The way my understanding is, there will be separate accounts. If you're Friday night bingo, you come in, where are you going? Bingo, that goes in that account. Your Amazon, where are you going? So it's in its infancy. It'll take us a little bit of time to finite it, but it is going, in the long run, it is going to be better for this development, and the people that do not have access to their computers, etc., come to the office, and the office will help you out and work with you. I just had a suggestion from Ron Ross, and I thought it was a very good one. He said, why can't we have small sessions? Invite 6 or 8 people, come in, and somebody will sit down and work with them, work with you, helping you get it up and running. I have several of those. He's willing to help out. I think that's a great idea. Town hall is wonderful, but hands-on are so much better. So that's something that we're going to look into, but have patience. Give us time. We're doing this for you and ourselves. Any questions you have? Okay.
I have one, you might have already covered it, the identity code. Were there letters already sent out? I don't recall. I'm just getting one.
Identity card?
The code.
That's what I was just telling you, the letter. You'll either get a letter or it will be on your email that will have all that information for you. I have it on my email today. I think Ken does. The letters were being stuffed yesterday, so they will either go out today or tomorrow.
My question is, in order to get notifications, do I have to leave the app logged on?
That is a good question. I appreciate you bringing that up because the answer is no. If your phone is turned off, and then it turns back on and your app is not running, physically running, you will still get notifications. So most people have a visitor once every few weeks or whatever the case. You don't need to have it open and running all the time. Just open the app, add your visitor, close the app, and you'll still get notifications when it's not running. Thank you for that question.
My second question is, my relatives, can I list them as permanent, even though they come sporadically?
Yes, definitely, and that's probably best because then you don't have to worry about adding them when they do come. So I would go ahead and add a number of people to your guest list as you wish, and when they come, they'll be approved.
When does this actually go into effect? Is there a date?
It's in effect now, so as you have, if you received the email yesterday, then go ahead and start logging into your account, adding your visitors. It's up and running. If you didn't get an email, that means the office doesn't have an email address for you on file, so you will be receiving the letter in paper format through the mail. What we'd like for you to do is focus on getting logged in and adding your visitors within the next 2 weeks. Try to have that done as soon as possible because the gate staff will begin using Gate Sentry on Tuesday, October 4th. It would be best if they had visitors on the list to use at that point. There will still be some residents trying to get logged in and adding visitors. We understand that. Typically, by the time the gate staff starts using Gate Sentry, about 50% of the community has already added visitors. And then within the first month, 75% or so of the residents have already logged in, updated their accounts, and everything starts to roll very smoothly when the residents have done their part. So what we would recommend is as soon as you get your letter, if you didn't get the email, log into your account, add the visitors that you know of. You may forget somebody like your Terminex or your pest control company doesn't come but once every 2 months. You may forget that for now, but that's okay. Just try to add as many as you know. And then as you remember more, go back onto your account, add them later.
Yes, thank you for taking my question. I just wanted to suggest maybe, like if you were having a dinner party of 10 to 12 people, could you just use the tenant's name, like my last name, Mockabee, where they could pull up to the gate and say Mockabee, and then, the people in the car, or if you're going to have 4 or 5 cars, would that help any? That was just my suggestion.
I don't know.
Rather than add 20 people on a list, Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if the HOA's policy or Captain Schubert's policy for managing visitors would allow for that because it does open the door for anyone to just say your name. Of course, they have to know you're having a party, but it really comes down to a question of how does the gate staff manage that process now, and do they want to continue that? So we'll kind of address that in the questions and training with the gate staff when it comes.
If I ever just get a random call that so-and-so is going to be at my house in 2 minutes to drop something off, can you ever just call the gate and say, Sue, we'll be here in 2 minutes? If they're not on your list, if you don't have time to go in the house, get on your computer, will you be able to call the gate ever?
Yeah, that is a good question, but again, a question for the board and for the gates staff, Captain Schubert. Some communities will no longer take calls after a certain point, let's say 1, 2, 3 months into using Gate Sentry. They will say if your visitor's not listed in the system, they're not getting in. Typically, that's larger communities because of the workload at the gate, the number of cars. As I understand it, there's close to 2 million cars coming through the gate at Brookridge each year. So I think the key is that to minimize the number of calls to the gate, is really important. It may be more convenient to just call the gate, but then they can't get to the call, they can't answer, they're too busy. So the goal is to try to make it as easy as possible so that all your visitors get in quickly. So yes, the preference is for you to, even if it takes 1 minute longer for you to add the visitor in the system, it will save maybe 10 minutes at the gate.
Question regarding unexpected visitors.
Yeah.
If you're not at home, let's say I have my cell phone and I'm playing tennis, and I have a husband at home who doesn't have a cell phone and refuses to use one. And we have somebody coming in unexpectedly, especially around this time, which happens quite a bit. They're going to Winter Haven, they're going to Fort Myers. Oh, let's stop at Brookridge. And that surprised them. Now the guest is there. I'm not available at the cell phone. Do you make a landline call to the house, or do you deny the guest, or they're not a guest, they're a surprise visitor, are they denied access to us?
The gate staff typically, and I don't know the exact policy for your community security staff, but the gate staff would typically contact your home and try to get authorization for that visitor if they're not listed on the list. Here in the contact number section, you have an option to put in a home number, a landline number, and then you can go in and add a cell number and actually put in the digits for that cell number. So the key is that the number of phone numbers you have listed, the gate staff will try to use to enter them in. But, if they can't get a hold of anybody, they may have to turn that visitor around.
You said earlier that the driver's license doesn't hold any personal information, it's just going to scan the front. But do you realize that some driver's licenses have the date of birth on the front, which can open possibilities for anyone to scam?
Yes, I understand that. This is fairly easily accessible information, but yes, I understand it does have that.
So that's a question
Hi.
that we're going to
Hello.
be talking about.
I just wanted to know, you're keeping track of people coming in, but how are you gonna keep track of the people, make sure they all get out?
It's a good question, better for the board.
There could be a lot of them still staying in the, staying after and start vandalizing the place, because I understand that we've always had sometimes vandalism and things got stolen and stuff. So how are you gonna keep track of everybody that leaves also? What's the purpose of keeping track of them coming in if you're not keeping track of them going out?
Yeah, I understand. For them to keep track of visitors leaving, they would have to queue up a line on the exit gate as well and check them out. I don't think the board wants to do that at this point, but the important factor is keeping a log of visitors coming in can at least narrow the search. If something occurs within the community, they'll know who was there. If the person is still in the community or not, that's a different question in terms of how the process is done. Maybe a question for one of those board sessions later as to whether or not you should track visitors leaving at the same as well.
I have a two-part question. On the site here, when you check the email the guests for the arrival,
Right.
when it is on a smartphone, will you also get a text in addition to the email if you just check that?
Yes, the smartphone notification occurs by downloading the Gate Sentry mobile app.
Right.
So if you've already done that, you've logged into the account through your mobile app, then you will start to get those notifications by your phone as well.
Okay. The second thing is that on that same app, it listed my husband. But he has a separate phone, obviously a separate smartphone and smartphone number. Will it be connected when, will he get it on his phone as well?
Only if he downloads the mobile app onto his phone and logs into the account. Just the fact that your cell phone is listed in your account does not mean you'll get notifications. You have to download the mobile app onto each of the phones and log into the account. That's what registers the phone to receive those notifications.
Mike, I've got a YouTube question. Will every adult in the vehicle have to show their licenses or just the driver?
Again, a question for the board and Captain Schubert. The typical process at communities all over the country is that the driver is the one responsible, the visitor, the official visitor, that's the person being checked in. So if the community were to use an ID policy in any way, it would be for the driver.
In a perfect world, we wouldn't need a system like this. But I think we can be able to mutually security. My question is, what about people that are riding a bicycle through the gate or walking through the gate? Does the system address that?
Yes, it does. Good question. I probably should kind of address all the questions from the standpoint of best practices from other communities we serve. Most residential community security companies will require anyone walking, riding a bike, a motorcycle, or any type of vehicle coming through the gate to be checked in. Just because they're riding a bike or walking doesn't mean that they're really supposed to be there. So the typical process for security is to check every non-resident coming through the gate. Well, Mike, we may
What if you're a
run out of
resident?
time. Go ahead.
What if you're a resident with a motorcycle and you have to go in and out through the main gate? You don't have a barcode because it doesn't register on the barcode. He has a number. Now, how are you going to handle those? Because we have a lot of motorcycles in here.
Yeah, it's a question best for Captain Schubert and how they currently handle that. Should not change based on this addition of the system.
Because I mean, when he goes in and out of the gate, they don't have to notify me.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right, if it's a resident entering the community on their motorcycle, there's current process for managing that. That will not change.
Okay.
We may need to make a list of the questions, any questions remaining. We're out of time on our session, but I wanted to thank all of you who are still there in the room. If there's not very many, that's understandable. Again, this information is available to you when you log into the web portal and the help guide. There's a section here that will give you this resident orientation video. Again, the quick start guide is a paper-based version that you can print, and it'll show you how to use the mobile app, or if you prefer the web portal, how to use the web portal. So a lot of beneficial information here for you. If there's further questions, what we would suggest is that you contact our support staff. We can help with some technical support. The other thing that could be done possibly is to, in the future sessions, if there are future sessions with the board, then those sessions may be able to address some of the questions. As you can see, a lot of the questions that are coming up are not necessarily technical or how to use the system, but more procedural, which means if it's something that the gate staff needs to change or if the board needs to approve in a process, then it's really kind of a better question for the board themselves. So at this point, what I'd like to do is kind of transition back to Mike and the team in the office there to kind of close out this session. But we are excited to be part of the community and serving you. And we will look forward to helping anyone who needs technical support and addressing future questions, which I know the board will send to us if there are additional questions from here. Mike, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thanks, Mike.
I'll let you close it out, and then, of course, let us know if we can do anything further to help with the questions.
Yeah, but he's representing Gate Sentry. He's selling the product that we bought. So it's like, but again, we've looked.
I'm trying to keep it simple for all of us.
Yeah, it's not a problem that's solved simply. It's like, because then you got punch codes, and then you gotta rearrange everything, because now, who's gonna punch the code, the driver or the passenger? Trust me, I've gone to, some of the other neighborhoods around here which have those, and, yeah, they've built it so that you've got a panel, but that's another piece of equipment that you gotta maintain too, which is, and then because I was on the advisory committee when we started looking at and this was the third one, I didn't get to, I wasn't involved in this one.
Was this the easiest one?
They're all pretty easy. I mean, it's just people have got the blinders on that they don't want, because we've got one problem, which is we get a lot of people yelling, this place isn't safe, this isn't secure, people are getting in here and shouldn't be in here. Well, this is what you have to do. And then we have the people who say like, why should I use it? It's like, we got people, it's the same thing with speed. The people who don't speed, they don't really care. The people who speed who are getting tickets and losing their privileges, they're making more noise, but it's like, you're speeding. This is more, people want to feel secure, and it's the same everywhere. You know, my wife was pet sitting up in Wellington, and they had a system like this, and it was, we went to go one day, and the people forgot to call her in. So she had to go around because she knew some other people, and then it's sometimes it can go a little too far. But again, the problem we have is
You had a code, you pull up and say, 1, 2, 3, or, check, here's 1, 2, 3.
But again, most of these systems, if you got the smart, because again, yes, we know we've got people who don't have computers, don't have smartphones, but for the group that does have smartphones, stuff like that, you can send people, you can put people on the thing, and it'll send them a QR code. They pull up to the gate, they scan the QR code on their phone, and it goes like, oh, go ahead. It's like, the biggest thing is it's supposed to cut down the delay at the gate, because the more information the guard check has, the quicker they can process people through. Now, the question, because somebody asked it, I had to re-ask it, but it had come up before, which was, say, a group of people come in and they say they're visiting you. Right now, you let them in. But say there's one person in that car that's not supposed to be in there. Now, Gate Sentry will flag and say, do not, under no circumstances, allow this person in. In that situation, they might say, we need to see everybody's ID. And that way they can check each ID against that and say like, oh, no, you guys turn around and come in, because he's in the car with you. That way the guards don't have to deal with it. They just say, you're not supposed to be in here. So it's, and again, like I said, there's all kinds of solutions.
I don't know how to fix that.
We even looked at an auto attendant, because people were saying they want to get rid of the third shift at the guard shack. But, yeah, you can do a
crossover.
self-dependent,
AOL email.
kiosk.
Are they going to your spam file?
$50,000. Not cheap. It's like, and that's the thing is, some people will remember Gate Sentry was here.
Because we have 24/7, gate guard, I like that.
Yeah, but again, they looked at Gate Sentry before.
Theirs is an AOL. You're talking to
what I've heard, they were able to work the prices, the maintenance prices down because, you know, it was like this, before they looked at the gate Sentry, now we're looking at three different
The other thing you
companies,
do
and
is,
that kind of
what I did with the one account is I called them.
incentive to be a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I've been on it.
In the daytime, anybody can get on that.
But,
At 4 o'clock.
I made them send me a confirmation email.
People pay a fine,
And make sure that it went through.
Right.
And I have to check.
And that way it's
to see
confirmed, and then I
call.
just refer.
Yeah, I've been over that.
Nobody's there to answer the phone. So what do I do with these people? Sorry, you can't come in
You know, just to send the word.
Yeah,
So that you knew that.
I couldn't remember the name, but I've been over there. So
Yeah, I'm trying to
I-
make it easier.
Yeah,
I don't know the solution yet.
Yeah, but again, like you heard in Sterling Hill, but when you pull in, residents pull in to the left. And now you get the, you know, where does the visitors go?
They even try to go through the gate. It was a mess.
And again, I wish there was a nice, simple solution, but I'm Mike. I'm the clubhouse supervisor. So, yeah, it's just one of those.
You're the supervisor.
If they're over the fence, and
You have some great people, I wanted to tell you, you have great property on that gate. They're friendly, they're courteous. The guy that wears the hat.
Oh, I know that. Oh, no, those are Greg's people. That's
what do you want me to do with
code
it?
enforcement slash security
The only thing
slash
you do with them is
guard
hire
house, but
They're very
they're very good. They're very good. I'm trying to beat my people into that kind of.
The important thing is the increase in pay.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, but there are problems out there, so we don't have to worry about it.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Alert. Right. You know, watch and see. And, I'm all for anything's gonna slow it, all right, let's go get my bad habit.
And again, it's part of the biggest thing is now that people, if people use this, they can control who can come in to their property.
Oh, no.
And she was,
She's the biggest guy in the room, that is.